the deputy minister to come and launch us here is because Gauteng is the most populous province, having overtaken KwaZulu-Natal, which was the most populous in 1996. As we talk now, KwaZulu-Natal is sitting with a population of about 20% of our country's population, which then translate to about 11 million. And 7.8 million is accounted for by the Western Cape. So it's no accident, Deputy Minister, that the Minister is in the Western Cape today. We have other senior colleagues in KwaZulu-Natal. And 7.1% is accounted for by the Eastern Cape. So together, the four provinces account for about 57% of the population of our country. Having said so, the United Nations has embarked on the Agenda 2030, which then says that we should leave no one behind. So we have a responsibility to count everyone within the borders of our country. And when I say this, Deputy Minister, I usually get accused of saying I encourage lawlessness. The Deputy Minister has to worry about these issues of law and order. I worry about those things equally too, but as Statistician General, I have a responsibility of counting everyone within the borders of South Africa, regardless of their legal status in the country. Because when they are here, they use services, they use resources, they need water, electricity, ablution facilities, and you can imagine if we were to leave them out. Now, in counting everyone who is within the borders of our country, I've already spoken about the 57% that is accounted for by the four provinces. It means that we have to reach out to everyone, including in the Northern Cape, where the population size of the Northern Cape is about 1.3 million people, accounting for about 2.2% of our population size in the country. So we will be reaching out to everyone in Pofadder, in the Northern Cape, in Uppington. We will go to Limpopo, in Masisi. We will go to Makado. We will go to Giani, Malamlele, Mtititi. We will go to Mtubatuba in the northern, in KwaZulu-Natal. We will go to Kwamhlawiyalingana, where my Sangoma stays in northern KwaZulu-Natal. In case you don't know how I became Statistician General. We will also go to Kofi Mvaba in the Eastern Cape, all the way to the Western Cape, and we will come to Kuruman and back to Taung. So we will have covered everyone within the borders of South Africa. So it gives me a pleasure, because usually, we are usually orphans, Deputy Minister. In this kind of activities, we are usually alone without ministers. They do the national launch and they go and deal with other things. So today we are very happy that Deputy Minister has joined us. And indeed, not only joining us, she will be with us in some of our activities tonight to appreciate what we are doing. Of course, we separate her responsibilities. She has to give us political cover. In terms of technical work and methods, it's our work. And we have such an understanding. And she's one of the champions, having taken our message everywhere, including internationally, where she stands for the independence of Stats SA. So, Deputy Minister, it's our honor to receive you to address us this evening at our launch of our fieldwork.
Thank you, SG.
We need your assistance so that we don't tamper much with your...
With the... Okay. Thank you, SG. Our Statistician General, Mr. Senga Maluleke. I generally have a low voice. I hope that I'm audible enough. Let me start by greeting my colleagues. Should I call you my colleagues from Stats SA? And also to appreciate the warm welcome from AXA and our landlord. We really appreciate and that you made the time to be here. To greet members of the media and South Africans at large. We are really happy that the process of counting our people so far is going very well. We remain confident that from the start until the end, this process will be thoroughly done. When we entered here, we greeted our field workers who are going to be assisting us tonight. And SG, we want to thank the many field workers when you made the call as Statistics South Africa that you are looking for field workers and that they must come and assist the institution in counting our people, that they responded in their very many numbers. It gives us confidence that South Africans continue to be patriotic to our country, and they've responded. And I was saying to them that they must continue to do their work throughout the whole month diligently, so that we can get the correct data, of course, given by yourself. We want to appreciate, ever since we launched the national statistics, that members of the media from various media houses, you have been so positive in spreading the message, to an extent that when we were sitting and we were looking and we were saying, it was not so much so that in all platforms we must buy the media space for yourselves to be able to count and to spread the message. You have been so positive about it, and we really appreciate that. We want to reiterate the message to our people that please participate in this census. This is not only meant to assist Statistics South Africa in relation to complying with the act which compels them to do what they are doing through the SG. This is going to assist universities, is going to assist us as government, is going to assist even business and investors to be able to look into what South Africa has to offer, where can they come and invest. Researchers in universities, they also rely on the data. But on our side, SG, what is more important is that we are requesting that when our field workers come to your homes, please open your doors to them. Be open about the questionnaire which they are going to be asking you. The beauty of the result of the census is that if you are not honest in relation to what they're asking you, it will then not assist the SG to be able to tell us the honest data. But we are also requesting that you must have confidence that the data that they're going to collect, by act and by law, they're not going to share it with anybody else. And we want to reiterate this information because there's concerns that I'm going to give you my information, what if you want to use it against me? The data is going to remain with Statistics South Africa. And when they come to us as South Africans to come and inform us that this is your population, so many are unemployed, so many households do not have basic income, so many are going to school, so many are not going to school, that information, they will not come and say they knocked in a house of Lawrence and Lawrence says he's complaining about you about this particular issue. So we want you to look at this census as part of assisting government to be able to plan. We are also happy, and that's why SG, we're very proud when I was talking with the minister that we can, beyond the national launch, travel with yourselves, is because you have given us a spreadsheet in relation to this is how you are going to outroll it, this is how you are going to ensure that you count everybody. And tonight when we are here is because there are those who are going to, when we leave here, we are going to go to the international departures because they are compelled that they must be able to count everybody in the country. The flight, they say they've got about 5 flights, if I'm correct, and they're going to be leaving around 10 p.m. Our field workers have got gadgets. We are just going there to just observe. I'm not even myself allowed to go and say, I want to count you. We're just going to be observing to support them as field workers, to utilize the gadget, to be able to count those who are leaving the country, because we don't even know when they're going to come back, for example. So it's to ensure that everybody is counted. We have got field workers across the country in all our airports who are also doing the same to count. They are also going to be doing that in our hotels. Others will wake up in the morning, for example, maybe they are flying back around the airport so that they are also counted. When we leave here, we are also going to go and count the homeless. We're going to go to Parktown, yes, and Park Station. So it's going to be a very, very long night for ourselves. But even there is to give support to our field workers so that they can count the homeless. And the reason, when they explain to us, and I'm going to speak and say you, because that's as experts in the field, is that homeless people, if you don't find them tonight, tomorrow if you go, you might not find them. They change their place of sleeping. Others have got other disturbances and mental disturbance. So for you to be safe, we need to count them tonight. Our field workers are all over where they are based in the country so that they are able to count them. We are also going to go to Baragwanath Hospital to await the newborns who are going to be born. Our field workers are also going to count those. I also asked them, so in your methodologies, why are you following them in the hospitals? And the explanation is that when our field workers are going to be waking up tomorrow to go to the homes to mention them, in most instances, children are forgotten. They forget to mention them. And it's also important for us to know those numbers in relation to, if a child is born today, projections in relation to, in a period of 6 years, that child must go to school, early child development. In a period of 18 years, that child will be finishing matric. What is the output, and what are the plans, therefore, which as government we need to be able to put in place? And we're really excited that everything is really organized. South Africans, all of us, let's participate. Let's support our field workers. I wanted an example of a field worker. I think it's important if maybe you can quickly get me one from outside there, and we show South Africans that a field worker who's going to come to your house how is the field worker going to look like, so that you can be sure that this is a field worker from Statistics South Africa. But you can also go to their website, and then you can see they are going to publish all the names of the field workers so that you can be able to verify that the person who's knocking in my home is from Statistics South Africa. Maybe they are, or maybe they already went to the international departures so that they can prepare themselves to be able to read and count. We also want to congratulate Statistics South Africa that for the first time you call it an online or a digital, where you can go to the website, you can be able to register. I'm sure South Africans have seen that Statistics South Africa has extended until the 5th so that you can register for household counting. It was supposed to close earlier on, so there's been an extension until the 5th. So we're encouraging South Africans that you can go to the website and then you can be able to participate in the census. You don't need to have data. So it's free data. If you don't on the website, you are given an opportunity to be able to choose whether you want to survey yourself, or you choose an option of a telephone, or you can choose an option that a field worker can come to your homes. And these 3 platforms, they give us confidence that you will be able, in the duration that you have set for yourselves, be able to ensure that we count everybody who's in South Africa so that we can understand the demographics of our country. It's really going to be a long night. We hope that you will be with us. Are we finding a friend? The friend maybe is shy. I think it's important, I'm sorry, SG, so that we can show South Africans that this is an example of, you can stand here maybe. So our field worker will look like this. The primary is the beep. They also have got a sticker, please lift it up, what you call it, the tag to show that I'm from Statistics South Africa, and the cap. They will, of course, change the pants they want to wear or a skirt and so on. Yes, we think it's important that our people must know this is how our field worker is going to look like. You have got a right to demand that you can't enter my home. Where is your tag? And if beyond the tag you feel that you are not comfortable, we've got a toll-free number that you can call. You can also go to the website so that you can be sure. And please, welcome them in your homes. They will not waste your time. We're happy about the training that you have done. We're also proud. Thank you, darling. Thank you. Thanks. We're also proud, SG, that Statistics South Africa, with the technology that they are utilizing, with the gadget that our field workers are holding, they have built it in-house. For us, when we look at
support, has always been welcome. We appreciate it. Can I take questions if there are questions before the CEO ushers in ushers us to the international section for unfolding of how the transients are going to be captured. Yes. Are you from ENCA?
Yes. All right. Thank you so much. My name is Govan from ENCA. Thank you. My question is for the Statistician General. I'm sure that you've seen the criticism from the LGBTQI community around the lack of representativity and option for them to presented in this year's census. Could you clarify some of the questions that will be in the census? Is there an opportunity for people who identify beyond the binary genders in our country to be represented as such in the census?
Well, if we could take a few questions so that we don't move the mics, because some may go to Deputy Minister, some may go to...
Is there another question?
Yeah. I have 3 questions, sir.
Okay, you can ask them. I'll take 3 questions in that order. Then there'll be a response, and an extra 3 will take.
Thank you. Second question is on foreign nationals. As I understand, the count includes them as we begin. Deputy Minister, this one is for you. Are you concerned at all that recent campaigns around illegal foreign nationals in South Africa will discourage people who are not here legally from coming forward? The comment that we got from Stats SA so far is that whether you're here legally or not, you should be counted. Do you believe that this campaign will affect how your ability to do the census? We understand those campaigns to be continuing while the census is underway. Then thirdly, there is a call from the Khoi and Lisan population for classified colored people in South Africa to not register as or identify as colored in the census, and rather identify as Khoi or San or mixed heritage. Again, for the Statistician General, I'm not sure, is that an option on the form at the moment, and would that be fraud if they don't register as colored? Yeah, that's it for now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, no, thank you. What becomes important, and this is the message which we have been carrying from our side, is to say that our people need to understand that for us to understand and be able to plan, you need to know everything about the country. Those who are here and those who are legally here, regardless of race and nationality. And I think the message that we need to carry forward in relation to South Africans who are complaining about whatever they are complaining in relation to jobs, in relation to fighting for space and economic standing and housing and so on. For us to be able also, even for government, to be able to look into policy shift which can favor the locals, would need all the numbers of everybody who is here. And we want to also encourage our brothers and sisters who are here, either legally or not legally, that when our people come, that's why we are re-emphasizing that the information is not for us to come and say, are you legally here? And then therefore you suspect that the field worker is going to report you to the police. That's why we're saying to you, the information is for Statistician General, so that he can come back and tell us that in South Africa, you have got 11 people. Out of these 11, 6 are South Africans, 3 are non-South Africans, 2 are documented, they are not documented, and so on. And therefore, we are requesting that everybody should be able to participate in that regard. All that data is going to assist, even with Home Affairs, to be able to come up with some form of a policy shift, which is going to ensure that, for example, we tighten our borders. Do we need to build more Home Affairs offices? Do we need to resource them with a large number of budget, and so that they can be able to employ more staff? And then therefore they can be able to ensure that the people who claim that we are on the list, we are not being documented, but we have signed, we have made applications, there is slow pace from the Department of Home Affairs, for example. All of that information needs to come from these numbers. And so we want to give confidence that when they come to you, whether you're documented or not, regardless of your race, of your nationality, please participate. That's why, for example, today, because those ones who are living here, you might find that others are not necessarily South Africans, but for us, they are utilizing our services, they are utilizing our airport. For example, if the airport, the capacity which AXA has planned for is for 10 million people to commute in a month, we need to understand those numbers. And therefore, what we want to encourage is that have confidence that all of us, let's participate so that we can build a better South Africa. Give them your information. Honestly, South Africans must not worry that we're even counting our brothers and sisters from wherever they come from. It is important that we count everybody so that our planning becomes holistic. So we're not worried. What we are worried more about is that please open the doors, tell them the honest truth. And then the rest is going to assist. Like I was saying, universities, those who are conducting research, even investors will be able to know that we can go to South Africa. There is this population that needs this. This is what we think we can be able to do. And all of that is going to assist us so that we can build a better South Africa. Thank you.
I will shift again the gadgets here. Let me start by this question on the Khoi and the San people that have been raising the issue of saying that we should not include the colored population group. And not only that, we have had different deputies or deputations or delegations from the Khoi and the San people who have come. Some said don't classify anybody as black, African, white or anything. Classify all of us as South Africans. Some have said classify all of us in South Africa as the Khoi San people. Now, what we do as statisticians is that we have what we call a time series. So when you collect data, it must be comparable to what you have done previously. Breaking series is an unforgivable offense for any statistician in practice. And as such, and you know the Census head office is next to Hosimampuru prison. So the statistician general can easily be shipped into that building and find some space where he can be hosted for some few years for breaking series. So breaking series is an unforgivable offense for any statistician. In this regard, for this census, as opposed to previous censuses, we have 4 population groups that we have had previously, plus an optional one. So we have Black African, we have colored population group, we have the Indian Asian, we have the white, as well as optional. And in this regard is that when you have optional, you allow anybody who seek to classify themselves to go further and engage with the questionnaire, whether it's be with our field worker or on their own. And when they choose optional, they can actually indicate what that option is. And that will allow us to be able to retain the time series that we have used previously, as well as being able to expand further for further analysis. And the Khoi and the San people can actually we can be able to unpack their numbers going forward, should there be a need to understand where they are in the country and how their life circumstances are, in simple terms, where they live and play. We have all seen the media statement that was released by Iranti talking about issues of people, LGBTQI people, and saying that this classification that we are having, as status say, is excluding them. The guidelines on censuses, population and housing censuses of the United Nations, where Statistics South Africa is a signatory and an active participant, indicate that the sex question in the questionnaire is a core question. So in every questionnaire, we must ask about the name of the respondent. We must ask about the sex as in male, female. And the sex question is defined in such guidelines as what the person has been allocated to at birth as being male or female in line with the biological makeup. Whereas the gender question speaks to this issue that Iranti is raising for LGBTQI people. And in this regard, if you look at the South African ID, it talks to sex/gender. But gender is a choice. It's not a biological makeup. And in this regard, we know very well that this matter has been discussed even internationally, as late as last year in Brussels, and indeed in November here in South Africa, led by our colleagues at the Department of Home Affairs. Another meeting will continue in May, and this matter has not been finalized even to change in the ID document, where you have the issue of sex/gender to deal with this matter that is raised by Iranti for people that are in that category of LGBTQI. Having said so, the census questionnaire has limited questions. And when you deal with issues of gender, it's not just asking how the person associates themselves. There are so many questions that you need to unpack further, including whether the environment where they find themselves at home or in the public space is doing enough to cater for them. And as you know, that in this questionnaire, one of the things was to maintain the previous questions so that we do not break the series. And in increasing the number of questions, it would not do justice to deal with this matter alone. We think even in future censuses, while we will, once resonance has been found nationally on this matter, including in terms of the laws of the country, once it has been finalized, we think the issue of gender needs a specific survey where we can unpack it further, like we do with other surveys. Look at unemployment and employment, for example. In the census, we only get trends, but we also have a specific survey in the form of the quarterly labor force survey, as well as the quarterly employment survey. Having said so, let me also indicate that at Status A, we are not responsible for the laws that the country follows. Members of the media and indeed members of the public have asked us why we include young people aged 15 years in our quarterly labor force survey. And the law of the Republic of South Africa is very clear as regards that matter. It says that it is illegal to hire anybody aged 14 years and younger, meaning that when you are 15 years and above, you can take up employment if you are not schooling. And our job is to measure. And even in this regard, we will continue to engage Iranti in this matter, and we will form part of the processes led by the Department of Home Affairs in dealing with this issue that is raised by Iranti on matters of people classifying themselves as LGBTQI. It's not our intention to exclude anybody, but let me mention that in this census, we are not asking the gender question, we are asking the sex question, which relates to the biological makeup as aligned to the United Nations guidelines on censuses. Thank you.
Thank you, SG. Thank you, Deputy Minister. Can I ask the CEO of OR Tambo to take us through the international side so we can look at the unfolding of how we do you want to ask a question? Oh, yes. Is there any other person who would like to ask a question?
Thank you so much for the second opportunity. Of course, the census does have an option of issuing a fine or recommending prosecution for people who refuse to cooperate with the census. Just wanted to know whether that has happened before and whether that will be a consideration this time. And then, are you concerned at all with the safety of the field workers as they're going into crime-ridden areas in South Africa? And then, how accurate do you believe the count on foreign nationals is? I don't know if you have an answer for that one, sir. And then, is there any consequences when a person lies in the form? What are the consequences for lying?
Thank you again. Let me deal with the issue of the fine. The Statistics Act is very clear. It says that a member of the public cannot refuse to answer questions presented to them by Statistics South Africa officials. If they refuse, they can be liable for a fine of 10,000 rands or imprisonment up to 6 months. Now, we at Census have enjoyed a very good working relationship with members of the public, and indeed with anyone who finds themselves within the borders of South Africa. And we ride on this relationship. Every day of our life in Census, we collect data in relation to persons and in relation to entities in the form of businesses. And we have never found ourselves with such resistance of a massive scale in relation to our surveys. Yes, indeed, previously in previous censuses, we have had who have come from within that village, who have applied and indicated that they are coming from there. There are places where we don't have people coming from the neighborhood. And as such, where we don't have people coming from the neighborhood, we have brought in people from outside such neighborhoods. And these people, when they arrive, they will go and see community leaders and, where necessary, report to the nearest police station to indicate that they are going to do work, because they may not be known in that neighborhood. And as such, it will make it easier to do work. We have also solicited the support of the South African Police Services, where we may have challenges. And indeed, we have communicated with them, and we remain in communication with them throughout the country, so that where we have challenges, they can assist us in terms of outreach to members of the public. The gadgets that they are carrying, there has been a question also if such gadgets are safe out there in the public. Firstly is that we have had our field workers going out with these gadgets from time to time, and the gadgets have been safe. And in this regard, these gadgets are solely for purposes of being used on the census. And if it happens that it lands in the wrong hand, they will not be able to operate it for starters, and it will actually cease to operate. And furthermore, we are able to track it around the clock even when it is switched off. The accuracy in relation to foreign nationals. In Census 1996, And I've always, as statistician general, I've often had a lot of numbers that relate to foreign nationals in South Africa. And for us, we only measure. And when we say, we don't go and ask you, are you a foreign national? We ask you where you were born. It's a standard question that we have agreed at the United Nations. And you will remember the census of the United States, how much it kept going in and out of courts in relation to this matter during President Trump's administration, where he wanted foreign nationals to be measured and to ask their legal status. It was because of these guidelines at the United Nations, which all chief statisticians in the world, including myself, uphold, in that we don't ask if you are a foreign national. We ask where you were in the last 5 years. And where we ask in terms of birth, you indicate if you were born within the borders of South Africa or not. And when we do so, it also includes South African citizens who were born outside South Africa. So when we talk about people who were born outside South Africa, it also includes South African nationals. But it is a lesser number of South African nationals who were born outside South Africa when we look at the magnitude of people who were not in the country at a reference point in time. In Census 1996, we had 960,000 people who were not born in South Africa. In Census 2001, we had 2.5 million people who were not born in South Africa. In Census 2011, we had 3.6 million people who were not born in South Africa. In the quarterly labor force survey, every 5 years, starting from 2007, we have had a module that talks to people who were not born in South Africa. So we did it in 2007, we did it in 2012, we did it in 2017, and we'll do it again in 2022 this year. Now, in official statistics, the last point of data is your last reference. And in this regard, as of 2017, we had about 14 million people who were employed in South Africa. Of those, 1.2 million were foreign-born citizens. And the unemployed in 2017 were about 4.7 million. Out of those, 760,000 were foreign-born citizens. So we track this data at all times, and we follow it closely, and we remain authoritative and accurate about it. In all censuses, we have always cooperated with associations that represent foreign-born citizens, including in this census. And we are comfortable that regardless of what agitation is there out there in the national space, they trust our responsibility to measure and to measure independently, and we will continue to do so. So let me guarantee you, members of the public, and indeed through members of the media and the Deputy Minister here, that we will continue to measure and we will ride on the relationship we have with foreign-born citizens. I thank you.
Thank you, SG. Are there any more questions? We need to move quickly to the international departure point so that we can see the transients being enumerated. We'll take the grace that you provide to Asha. Thank you, CEO. Thank you.
Hey.